too.
Thank you. Thank you so, my goodness. Do you know what when you were talking to me about the Q&A, I did say to you, didn't you? I said, how many people will be there? About 40 people? Quite naive.
I warned you. I said this is the biggest venue here. This is a lot of people.
Thank you. I must say, everyone I've met has been so respectful and so charming, so passionate and genuinely excited about the show, and so many lovely, lovely compliments. And I want to say thank you, and thank you for enjoying Brienne of Tarth.
Watching that video, there's so much to talk about. You've done so much, but I guess first we can mention that you are in a bunch of really big things coming up. I wish I could ask you, but we can't really say much at this point. We don't want to get anything out there.
I've been a very lucky girl. I'm in a TV show that I love. I am lucky enough to be in the Hunger Games Part 2. And I'm very lucky to be in the new Star Wars film. I'm so really shaking. I couldn't be happier to be in those projects, but I sort of want to get this out of the way first, that I know how excited you are about these movies because I am excited, but very unfortunately, as I'm sure you all know, I'm not allowed to talk about them. And I know that's disappointing, but what I can say to you is this. Having been lucky enough to be in both of those projects, it is worth the wait. So please be safe in the knowledge that I'm sorry I can't talk about it today, but genuinely, each day that goes by, that anticipation that you feel, that I feel too, it is genuinely worth it. And we're going to have a great Christmas!
It's a Christmas present, and you cannot spoil Christmas early, so we're going to hold off on that. But it is so cool that you were here. I can say that, I guess like many people here, I'm all caught up till last week, and the next episode is tonight. But let's go back to the beginning of Game of Thrones. Before you got that, where did you start as an actor? You had some really extensive training.
Yeah, I keep being told by people, it's probably the most complimentary, incorrect rumor, but I gotta say I love it, that I was a model and never trained as an actor, which is not true at all. If only it were. If only my life had been like that. But I always wanted to be an actor. I was a semi-professional gymnast as a child. And I trained, I loved training. I trained I was very dedicated to my training, and I trained 5, 6, 7 days a week. And then, I couldn't dance anymore. There was an injury. And so I just thought, I was 11, and I just thought in my 11-year-old mind, I'll just be an actor instead. Like it was that easy. I just thought, yeah, sure, I'll just do that instead. So I was always very passionate about classical work, about Shakespeare, and Shakespeare was my real passion. But that I read masses, and then I auditioned for a classical method school called Drama Centre London. It's called Drama Centre London, and it's also known as Trauma Centre London. It's 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, often weekends as well. Plus you do about 3 hours of work when you got home. And you get into school sometimes at 7 a.m. so you could start rehearsing. And it was a very intense training. It was very physical, it was very academic, and it sort of broke you down psychologically and then built you back up again. Well, it broke you down psychologically and you built yourself. But it was there that I did masses of classical work, but new work, and it was there that I became really interested in transformation. And particularly given the fact that I am a tall woman, I was interested in becoming something other than myself. And I was interested in the whole way of changing one's voice, and one's appearance, your size. I was taught by a great man called Reuven Adib, and he was at the Actors Studio. So that's where Marlon Brando went and Marilyn Monroe. And it was really about inhabiting a character and becoming something else physically, and in the way that you moved, the way that you thought, the way that you spoke, but also using yourself and using your own experience. So I left drama school. They told me that I would find it very, very difficult to find work if I would ever work at all. They were positive, encouraging, but they were quite bold about the realities of the acting industry. And I left and I worked in theatre. I was lucky enough that my first job on leaving was at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And then I worked fairly consistently in theatre until I thought, you know what, my heart has always been in screen work. I love theatre and I look forward to doing more of it, but I really just wanted to be in those movies. I went to the cinema and it was so exciting, and I wanted to be in TV shows like the ones that I watched growing up that I loved. And I thought I was just going to wait it out. And I remember my agent said to me, okay, this is a big risk that you're taking, but what is it that you want to do? And I said, I want to be in an HBO series. And he said, good luck. But 10 months later, a friend of mine said, there's something all about you on the internet, being in an HBO show. And he said, you should Google yourself. And it was the first time I Googled myself. So and I saw these forums for a series of books. And I was intrigued. And I immediately Googled Brienne of Tarth. And then I clicked on a page that had information about her, and I fell in love with the character. And all that I got excited about in my training at drama school, everything that I wanted to do seemed to be there in that part, in that there was a big physical transformation, but there was a woman who, although she was from another time, and a fantasy time, it was an exploration of a tall woman, but more than that, an outsider. Someone that feels marginalized from society because of the way that they look. And that spoke to me. What I didn't realize was how many people that character would speak to as a consequence. So I wanted, oh my God, I wanted that part. So I knew that there were similarities between me and the character, and I also knew that there were significant differences that I had to work on. I heard that they were thinking about me and going to ask me to audition, and I had about 6 weeks, and I lost 1.5 stone in weight. I went running, I did Kundalini yoga, I did kickboxing. I couldn't find anywhere that did sword fighting, genuinely. And I started just wearing a lot of sportswear and no makeup, and I had very long hair and tied my hair back and did everything I could to try and achieve this part. And thankfully, I got it.
reenact that moment for us? Because I feel like you would have been like the most intense person watching that.
Do you know what? I thought it was over rather quickly.
Really?
Yeah, because I spent so much time. I mean, obviously, I've seen it now, and it's fun. I always thought it was phenomenal, but I was just, having spent so many days on it, and having traveled, and got so worked up about it, I mean, so into it, I suppose I expected to sit and watch it for it to last a year.
Like, that's it?
Yeah. What? I thought I'd be watching this for a year.
I thought it was
a year-long episode.
I thought it was a season we filmed.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I think they've done it amazingly. Because in the book, I loved it in the books. When I was reading them and I came across that scene, I just thought, how good can this get? Everything that happens up to this point is phenomenal. And she gets to fight a bear. And then I got to fight a dog.
I feel like we should save that one for the end because that's like the grand finale right there. But before that, in between all that, your work with Nikolai, we already talked about that a little bit, and you guys did so much together. It was so cool, I think, seeing how his character. We kind of thought he was the bad guy at first, but then working, his character and Brienne together, and I was feeling for him for a little while,
I think that's testament to the writing.
Yeah.
That story is beautiful. What I find beautiful about it is that it takes two characters from very, very different backgrounds who initially, they don't get on, they don't respect each other. And then you're with them and you watch this relationship evolve into the most unlikely of friendships. And for me, it's refreshing to see that kind of relationship between a man and a woman on television, because it's about a grudging respect for each other. It's not about them finding each other beautiful or finding each other sexy in all of those relationships you've seen for so long on television. This is about something else. And that's what I find exciting. That it's about an unconventional relationship. And when I watch that relationship on screen, it kind of opens up my mind to think, oh, that person that I feel I have absolutely nothing in common with and maybe don't like, maybe they're more like me than I could expect. And maybe we should all invest a little bit more in getting to know each other, because if you scratch the surface, there's so much more. We have so much more in common.
I think it was really, give it up for that. I think the character, Jamie's character, meeting Brienne, maybe influenced how the series went, given some things that happened towards the end of the last season. I think that, agreed, definitely an integral part in the outcome of that character, right?
Yeah, when the character, Jamie Lannister, I certainly, from my perspective, I changed the way I felt about him.
Yeah.
Because it starts off and you're like, ooh, who's this creepy guy? Although I have to admit, when I was watching the series, I was due to audition for it, and it came on television, and I watched it, and the moment, obviously he's engaged in an act of some intimacy with a family member, and then he just pushes a kid out the window, and I thought, I like this. This is a show for me. But so that's how we start off, and then, he's absolutely putrid to Brienne. He's so cruel. It's unnecessary. He's so cruel to her. But there is something there's something I find when I watch it. There's something magnetic about it, about the way that they are so different and they're fighting against each other all the time. And then it's that moment in that bathtub scene when Brienne realizes, and maybe we all realize, I read it reading it in the books and reading it in the scripts, that this man there's more to him, and I don't know how I feel about him anymore.
Yeah, I know. I used to you hate the guy, but then now because he met Brienne, I want to even forget that he pushed that kid out the window, you know? Like, I'm feeling for him. I feel like he's a good guy at heart, right?
He's complicated.
He's so complicated.
He's just really complicated.
Sorry, Brienne and the Hound. That was an epic fight, am I right? I know it was all, you're fighting on screen and all, but it looked like that must have hurt too, even though you weren't actually or did you even was there any moments where you actually maybe made contact by accident? Because that was a dirty fight.
It wasn't a walk in the park. Do you know what? I love that scene. I love that scene. Rory McCann is fantastic. He is though, isn't he? The Hound is an amazing character. And I was really excited to work with him. And when I read that scene, I was reading it and I thought, oh, well, okay, I'm going to die. Maybe not. That was a huge undertaking. Huge. And we trained for 2 months, 3 or 4 days a week, again 6 or 8 hours. And we worked it out, exactly what form it would take. And I was in training for about a month before then with my trainer. And throughout, whilst I was training for the fight, I was doing my own training as well to try and build up the stamina and strength to be able to undertake it. Because with a fight like that, it isn't like a fight in life. It's like a dance. It's choreographed, but we wanted it to be stupendous. And we wanted it to be truly engaged. And Rory and I are two very passionate performers, and we put all that we have into trying to make our performances as real as possible. And we were so engaged in that. And it's testament to the brilliant C.C. Smith, who choreographed it, that no one was badly hurt.
It's okay, there's no one listening, you can say it.
It was quite intense. I wish I could say that I was manlier about it, but there were a few times when I just fell to my knees and was like, it was in my face! And then go, Carrie, I'm strong. And I started walking around, kind of, sort of spitting. I know, spitting, honestly. But we were so engaged in it. It was so intense, and we wanted it to be brilliant. The way we'd rehearsed it was in the stunt tent, so it was all on flat ground. And then we get to the location in Iceland. It's up a mountain. It's all up and down hill. It's on rock. I'm running backwards the whole time, fighting a 6'7" man that weighs almost twice as much as me, in full armor with a huge sword. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make this look like a breeze while I do it again and again and again for 12 hours a day in freakishly hot weather conditions in Iceland. But it's my favorite thing. I mean, of that season, that was the favorite thing that I did. And it was just there was something kind of primeval about it, something like really primitive, particularly after we'd filmed it for 3 days and we'd so thrown ourselves into it that we filmed it in chronological order. So the scene at the end when Brienne, I hope you've seen it, this isn't spoiling it for you. I've gone a bit too far though, haven't I, for that? When Brienne delivers her volley of punches, that was at the end of 3 days, and I was basically in another dimension.
That's the way they ended too. That was like the big grand finale, but we really don't know. Like, I know there's some people that are out there thinking that maybe the Hound survived the fall. Do we know what happened?
I can't believe, like, people say this to me. Do you really think I didn't kill the guy? Really? After that? like bellowing away.
Like, he's probably dead.
It was so over.
And then, of course, this new season just started last week, and we got a little look at the start of Brienne's new journey. And is it just me, or is that like super frustrating watching that carriage go by? And then
People haven't seen it!
and then that other thing, we found out that he was actually the guy's dad, and then
And there's a thing, and then it's a thing.
I never would have thought Brienne was Joffrey's mom the whole time. Sorry.
What about that scene when I'm getting off with Jon Snow?
Someone is going to misquote that, and that will be on the internet later. Have you heard? Calgary Expo.
It was all a joke. I want you to know it was all a joke.
But we're going to leave this panel, and a lot of us are going to go home because we got the new episode on tonight. Anything we can talk about what's coming up for tonight? Do you even know how it was cut down?
I'm going to take a risk. Steel yourselves for some action.
Ladies and gentlemen.